G'day guys, Will here, welcome back to the channel. So today's video we're going to be taking a look at our brand new Boosted Media branded apparel from Abruzzi Racewear Australia. So before we look at the gear itself, I just wanted to quickly give you a little bit of background info on how this video has come to be. So Abruzzi is a brand that I'm sure a lot of you guys are already familiar with. They've been selling sim racing gear and some karting gear as well for quite some time now, based out of Europe, and they've been recently expanding their distribution throughout the world. Now, historically speaking, in Australia, we kind of suffer a little bit when it comes to sim racing gear. Stuff tends to be a little bit more expensive down here than it is in other countries around the world. Obviously, the distances for shipping and things like that make it a bit of a challenge for us. And generally speaking, it's a difficult area to break into as a new emerging business because you're having to compete with well-established brands already from overseas and things like that. So something that I'm really passionate about with this channel is trying to support locals wherever I possibly can. So you would have seen historically we've supported brands like Next Level Racing, who's obviously an Australian brand. We're going to be reviewing an 80/20 rig from Simfinity, which is based in Perth soon as well. Really excited about that. But yeah, look, I try to support Aussie brands wherever I possibly can, simply because the more brands we have, the more emerging brands, the more competition we have in the marketplace here within Australia, the more, the more range we have access to, the cheaper the prices become and the better it is for everybody. So I don't have a financial relationship with Abruzzi or anything like that. I did receive the boots and gloves for free, which is awesome, but I'm not benefiting. There's no affiliate links or anything like that. I'm just trying to get the word out here that we do have a brand new Aussie distributor, which I'm really excited about. And the experience with the ordering process and everything was really awesome as well. So I'm going to run you through all of that in this video. So I'm sure that a lot of you are already getting ready to fire up in the comments about why an idiot like me would want to wear boots and gloves for driving a simulator in the first place. And yeah, I think it's a perfectly valid question. So let's address that quickly first before we have a look at the gear itself. So I've been wearing gloves for sim racing for pretty much ever since I started using a wheel. And I've used boots as well for about the last year. So I went out and I purchased some really expensive Alpine Stars boots and gloves that you would have seen in my videos for the last year. And I've been using them basically ever since I got into, I guess, the more high-end sim racing gear. So when I first bought my FANATEC gear, started using the boots as well. And look, the reason for that is a couple of things. First of all, I find personally, and this is just my own personal opinion, but I do find that it adds to the immersion. Obviously, when you're driving a real life race car or driving on a track, generally speaking, you are going to be wearing boots and gloves. Obviously, you're not going to be driving barefoot. And, you know, so it does add that little bit of immersion. It does make you feel a little bit more involved in the experience, I think. There's also the advantage of it protecting your gear as well. So obviously you don't want to be getting dead skin cells all over your beautiful Alcantara wheel. You don't want to be getting all your pedals bound up with skin cells. You know, your body does shed quite a lot of dead skin. And if you ever have a look at your pedals after driving barefoot for a couple of months, it's pretty disgusting. So that was another reason why I chose to wear boots and gloves. But I think the main reason for me is I actually find it makes me a slightly better driver as well. Now that might sound a little bit silly, but I find that when I'm not wearing gloves, I tend to go a little bit easier on my steering inputs. And I think part of that is because I do have very girly hands. Obviously, I want to keep my fingers protected for when I'm playing guitar and doing things like that as well. And obviously, if I injure my hand, if I split my thumb or something like that, it means I can't make videos, which is a big problem for me. But yeah, I'm trying to protect my hands and my feet as well. And I do find that I drive a little bit more aggressively and in terms of my inputs when I'm wearing gloves and boots. So obviously when you're driving with load cell pedals or something like that, some of those pedals, I mean the HE Ultimates for example, they require about 100 kilograms of force for full scale deflection on the brake pedal. So if you're driving, you know, an endurance race or something like that, putting 100 kilograms of force through the pedal over and over and over again, you are going to develop blisters and calluses and things like that. And I actually do have pretty significant calluses on the inside of my thumbs in particular, just from driving, you know, regularly. I do probably about an hour or maybe 2 hours a day, generally speaking. And that is through wearing gloves as well. So it definitely is a thing, at least for me. And I'm pretty sure that most people that wear boots and gloves for their driving will agree with me. Now, there are some cheaper options available out there as well. Oftentimes, I recommend people buy reef shoes or something like that if they're wanting to do something to protect their feet. So obviously, you want to have the closest fitting thing that you can possibly find. You want it to almost be like a glove around your foot, particularly if you drive with heel and toe and stuff like that. You want to be able to, you know, have as little area around your foot so you've got as much feeling as possible. So you can, generally speaking, pick up a pair of reef shoes for about 10, 15 bucks from your local Big W or, you know, whatever it is, Best Buy if you're in the US. And you know, those actually work really well as well. So that is a cheaper option that I recommend as well if you can't afford or don't want to fork out for something more like this. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's have a look at the gear itself. So Abruzzi Racewear Australia have a bunch of different options available on their website. So you can choose between low cut boots, high cut boots, short gloves, long gloves, and they're even introducing some official FIA approved racewear as well now for karting and things like that. So really exciting. They're expanding their range at the moment, so make sure you check out their website at the time that you're watching this video, not necessarily taking what I'm saying now as gospel, because obviously as time goes on, the range will increase as well. So there's a bunch of off-the-shelf designs that you can choose from. You can customize, put your own name, your own flag, your own race number there, and then obviously you do have the option for fully customizable as well, which is what I did here. Now what we've done with Abruzzi Racewear in collaboration is we've made this design available to you guys as well at a discount. So I don't receive a kickback or anything like that, but if you do want to support Boosted Media and show your support there, you can order a set of these with your own name, your own racing number, and your own flag as well. So that's a really cool way to show your support for the channel. Again, no financial kickback or anything like that, but I just thought it would be a cool little thing to offer you guys. But yeah, there is the option to fully customize yourself as well. And basically the way that works is you get sent a template when you place the order. You design your template, you do a basic layout, and then you work with the guys at Abruzzi Racing to basically finalize the design. They'll get your ideas, they'll sort of go through it all, put together a design that's going to work. So you work together with them to come up with your design, and then basically they do a full mock-up for you, send some pictures of what it's going to look like when it's finished, and then as soon as you approve that, they place the order, it goes into production. And for me, it took about 2.5 to 3 weeks to actually receive the product once it was once the final mock-up was signed off. So what happens is the product gets shipped to the local distributor, and then they check it, make sure that they're happy with the quality, and then they ship it on to you. So all in all, the process from start to finish took about probably 3.5 weeks. And that was including some back and forthing with my own indecisiveness about design as well. So really simple process, clear communication all the way through as well. So don't be nervous if you don't have design skills. They are there to help you out, and I'm sure that you'll be able to come up with something that suits you. But they do have a large range on the website as well of pre-made designs that you can choose from, and then just customize your flag, number, and name. Okay, so I'm not a shoe guy or a clothing reviewer by any means, so I thought the best way to do this would be to compare directly with my existing Alpine Stars gloves and boots that I've been using for around about a year now. So those cost me quite a lot more than the Abruzzi Race Gear stuff did. The boots were about $170 as opposed to the $117 for the Abruzzi ones. $105 I think it is with the discount for the Boosted Media ones if you buy those. And the gloves I think were around about the $80 or $90 mark. And the Abruzzi ones are $56 retail. So straight away, I think that the pricing is very, very good. When you consider the amount of additional labor that's involved in individually printing something that's unique for every single production run, as opposed to just mass producing in one massive production run, obviously there's a lot more labor involved and things like that. You're going to and fro with designs as well if you're doing a custom design. So I think that the Abruzzi gear is very, very competitively priced straight off the bat. Now, in terms of quality, let's have a look at the boots first of all. So having a look at them side by side, there's very little difference in the overall design between the two. Obviously, the Abruzzi ones, you've got some suede as well as leather. The Alpine Stars ones that I've got are completely leather. Now, these have a pretty cool design here that I guess sort of as you tighten up the laces kind of grips in a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see how these go comfort-wise compared. But in terms of the overall design, otherwise, very, very similar. You can see the overall dimensions in terms of how high up they come. The cutaway at the back as well is very similar. And yeah, overall, very, very similar design. The soles as well, you've got a lot of flexibility in both. So you can see there, bends nice and easily as well. Ventilation-wise, you've got a little bit more ventilation on the Alpine Stars than you do with the Abruzzi ones, but you'll see whether that's an issue after a while. I'll do another follow-up review when I've been wearing them for a while. We do have this Velcro strap here as well. Now, I just want to mention that there were some issues with the Velcro straps in one particular production run for Abruzzi. Actually, when I posted that I'd received these, somebody commented that they'd had problems with the Velcro, and one of the guys from Abruzzi in Europe actually jumped on straight away and said that they'd do another run for the guy because there was an issue with the Velcro. So if you do have issues with your Velcro, reach out to Abruzzi and they will fix that for you. But yeah, look, in terms of quality, I can see where there's been a couple of little cuts in the cost, obviously, in the production. So you can see around the stitching, you've got a single row of stitching on the Abruzzis. The Alpine Stars, by comparison, have 2 rows of stitching. So perhaps a little bit more durable. Whether that makes a difference for sim racing, I guess we'll find out. I have been wearing the Alpine Stars boots for a year now, and you can see they still look pretty much like brand new, even after about an hour or two's use a day. No problems with the adhesive splitting around the sole or anything like that, which is often the case with these sorts of boots. So again, we'll comment on that after some time once we've used these, but it doesn't look like we're going to have any issues with the bond there as well. In terms of padding and everything, there's actually a little bit more padding in the Abruzzi ones than there is in the Alpine Star. So it'll be interesting to see how that feels when we're driving. The soles as well, you can't really see here, but the soles are a little bit more squishy in the Abruzzi ones. So they offer a little bit more comfort there as well. Hopefully not at the sacrifice of overall feeling. But yeah, look, overall, we've got our nice little panel here as well, kind of carbon fiber finish. Our leather, we've got our screen printed patch here on the side with the canvas, and then obviously our suede as well. So look, I mean, I can see where they've cut some costs. There's no question about that, but I think that all the important components are there. And again, when you consider that these are individually manufactured for you and your particular design, you know, it really is pretty incredible that they're able to come in at a cheaper price than something like the Alpine Stars product when you're not really sacrificing all that much in terms of quality. And these boots are overkill for sim racing as well. These are a proper karting shoe. So I should also mention as well that Abruzzi are coming out with a higher spec model very soon. We will be getting our hands on that as well to have a look at. And that will probably be more closely matched to the quality of the Alpine Stars. But yeah, overall, I'm really impressed with the quality. So onto the gloves. So I mean, overall, very, very similar again in design. You can see how they bunch up around the wrists there, both pretty much identical to each other. They've both got this sort of rubberized gripping on there that makes it a lot easier to grip the wheel, and we'll talk about that a little bit later once we go for a drive with them. But one little touch that they have added, which isn't present on the Alpine Stars gloves that I have, is these little sewn-on patches here. Now these are touchscreen compatible little patches. So one of the problems that I've had with my Alpine Stars gloves, and this is something that I never thought of when I first bought them, didn't even consider it when I was purchasing them, is I have to pull them off every single time I want to use my phone or anything that has a touchscreen. Whereas with these, at least theoretically, and we'll test it out in just a moment, but the little pads that we have here mean that we can use a phone, use a touchscreen, and it's not an issue at all. So for sim racing specifically, that is something that's really important. Obviously, if you're driving a car or something like that, you shouldn't be texting and driving anyway. But yeah, for a sim, it is definitely something that's really handy. So I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into that. But in terms of the construction, again, very, very similar. There's maybe a little bit less precision in the overall shape of the Abruzzi ones compared to the Alpine Stars. You can see the thumbs are a little bit tighter fitting, a little bit more contoured on the Alpine Stars ones. But I mean, that's not really an issue whatsoever. It's just a little observation. And yeah, otherwise the stitching is pretty much identical. The Alpine Stars ones are a slightly thicker material, but I don't really see that being a problem. I think these are still thick enough, and these ones will probably breathe a little bit better. Now these are 100% screen printed as well, and the quality of the printing is absolutely fantastic. You can see there when I stretch them, it doesn't go all nasty and white or anything like that. It doesn't look like the screen printing is ever going to crack or anything like that either. So really, really impressed with these. I think there's a really, really professional quality product that is going to last me many, many years. Now, obviously, I've included the Abruzzi logos on there as well to support the brand. But if you are customizing this, you can go fully custom. You don't have to have Abruzzi logos on there if you don't want to. But if you do purchase the boosted media ones that are at a special discount on the website, then that is the way they will look. All right, so first things first, I just want to show you that the phone is working with the gloves on. So we'll tap on the screen to wake it up, scroll up, Face ID unlock. We're going to have to put in our code here to unlock it. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, it is a little bit awkward to type and things like that. If you've ever seen a woman with really, really long fingernails trying to use a mobile phone, it's a little bit like that. So you can scroll around, you can do everything you need to do, open up apps and everything. But yeah, if you're trying to type with your thumbs, it's a little bit awkward. It's just going to take some getting used to, but it definitely can be done. But I think the main usage there is going to be, if you want to check your stream while you're driving or, something like that, you need to quickly check something that enables you to do that without having to pull your gloves off every time, which is really cool. But anyway, let's head out on the track and see how all this goes with driving. So I've spent probably maybe 15 minutes quickly before recording this, just sort of getting used to everything and checking for issues and things that I'd need to highlight in the video. And yeah, haven't come across with anything so far. So we're driving the MX-5 around Laguna Seca. The biggest issue I have is just my own driving. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've driven an H pattern in the game, and a very long time since I've done heel and toe as well, because all the cars that I'm driving at the moment don't really require it. So Overshot the corner already. There we go. So, look, we'll focus on the gloves first, and then we'll move on to the boots. So, first thing I noticed, first of all, is that the ventilation is really, really good. So, the Alpine Stars gloves that I was wearing previously, they're a little bit thicker than these are, as I mentioned before. And what I found is that my hands do get quite sweaty in those gloves, more than about 15 minutes, and I'm starting to get quite clammy, whereas these, not an issue at all. Very, very, very well ventilated. And in saying that, I was a little bit concerned that I might have issues with, you know, having a little bit less padding. But I mean, so far it seems absolutely fine. I'm not finding that it's any more strenuous. I'm misshifting here. Not finding that it's any more strenuous on my hands than it was previously. So I think they've hit a really good balance here between, you know, comfort and the amount of padding that's available. Obviously, the Alpine Stars ones are, you know, professional karting gloves, and that's probably a little bit overkill for what we're doing here. So I think it's a really good balance. So yeah, really happy with the gloves. Everything else feels really good with them. They're not moving around on my hands. They're not bunching up either. I remember before I had the Alpine Stars, I used to drive with my Fox dirt paw gloves from my motocross days and downhill mountain biking and stuff like that. And I always found that they'd bunch up underneath my hands between the wheel and the grips, and that would make it really uncomfortable after a while. And there wasn't really a whole lot you could do about it other than take your hands off and sort of start to pick at it. But yeah, look, gloves feel absolutely perfect. No problems with them whatsoever. Nice and light, and just the right amount of padding. So onto the boots here. So again, really comfortable. No issues at all with that. I think the first thing that I've noticed is that the heels actually feel really, really planted on the pedal plate. That probably sounds a little bit weird, but I think they've used a slightly softer compound rubber on the soles than what I'm used to with the Alpine Stars. And what I'm finding is that my heels don't sort of tend to glide around on the pedal plate quite like they did before, which is really good because it means I know exactly where my feet are all the time. I'm not sort of getting muddled up with the pedals so much. One of the most important things with using pedals is well, with wearing shoes while you're using pedals is making sure you always know where your feet are and not sort of clipping the edge of pedals and things like that. So as I mentioned before, you want to have boots that are sort of really wrapping around your foot, almost like a glove. And these seem to do that really well. They feel pretty much exactly the same to wear as the Alpine Stars boots did. I've got exactly the same sort of feeling through my foot. I know exactly where I'm pressing. The extra little bit of padding that I mentioned before when we were having a look at the hardware itself isn't really noticeable. Feels pretty much exactly the same. So I'm getting all the feedback that I need. Nice amount of padding around the ankles as well. A little bit more padding than we had with the Alpine Stars boots. And it's really, really comfortable. The Velcro straps haven't come undone either in the sort of 20 minutes or so that I've been driving now. So that's good. No budging at all there. And yeah, everything seems to work really well. So we'll just sort of try and complete another lap here. I'm driving all over the place. I'm really not doing a very good job of this at all. Just not used to driving this car. But yeah, I mean, I'm adapting to them quickly. No problems with my foot sliding around or anything like that. So the sizing seems to be on point. Obviously, I didn't get the opportunity to try them on for sizing beforehand, so I just had to rely on the European sizing chart. Whoops, I just misshifted majorly there. I'm having to concentrate so hard. I'm probably pulling all of these ridiculous faces and everything, but having fun, that's the main thing. Bring it around. Oh, come on. I used to do, what was my best lap used to be a, I think it was like a 1:37 or something in the MX-5, I can't remember. It was definitely under 1 minute 40, and now I'm doing 1 minute 45s. But I wasn't heel and toeing then either, because you don't actually need to in the MX-5. You can just use the synchros to shift, but I wanted to heel and toe for the sake of the video because I thought it would make it a little bit more interesting and a little bit more realistic for a lot of you guys. So we'll do one more pass over the top of the hill here. Haven't had any problems with the tongues sliding around or anything like that either. That all seems to be really good. And my feet don't feel like they're getting crazy hot or anything like that, so breathability seems to be okay. There we go. Backed out a little bit too much there. Starting to get the hang of it again now. See what this lap time is. It's definitely over 140. 143, 144, 145. Oh, it wasn't that much quicker. Oh well. But no, look, really happy with them. They're really comfortable. They're doing everything they need to do, and yeah, no issues at all to speak of. So I'll definitely come back. I'll let you know if I do come across any problems with them later on. As I mentioned before, we will be reviewing the karting boot as well, the upgraded model that's going to be out soon as well. So I'm looking forward to receiving that and checking that out for you guys. But yeah, look, I think these fit the bill really well for sim racing boots. I think they do everything they need to do. And yeah, as I mentioned before, there are a couple of areas where they've obviously cut some costs. But you know, I think that the price that they're built to is fair and good. And the areas that they've sort of compromised a little bit with the quality are areas that aren't really important when you're sim racing. So, you know, things like the stitching and stuff like that, you know, it's not, you know, you're not going to be pushing them to the edge and really sort of abusing them when you're sim racing. And you can see by the condition of my Alpine Stars boots, you know, after a year's use, they still look brand new. So I'd rather that they made them a little bit cheaper and compromised a little bit in those areas rather than, you know, going over the top with the quality and charging $200 because it makes it accessible to a lot more people. So anyway, we'll just come over the top of the hill again here and we'll bring it in for some final thoughts. Oh, overshot. I should just quit while I'm ahead, I think. Okay guys, so that is a quick look at just some of the Abruzzi Racewear Australia products. Now, if you do want to pick up a pair of the Boosted Media branded ones, you can do so on the Abruzzi Racewear Australia website. And if you're elsewhere in the world and you want to pick a pair of these up, get in touch with those guys and they'll be able to pass on the design to your local distributor as well. So just because you don't see them on the website doesn't mean that you can't get them in your local region as well. And as I said before, I don't receive a financial kickback or anything like that. It's just a cool little way that you can support the channel and show your appreciation for what we do. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Hopefully you found the video interesting and entertaining, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.